Welcome to FTA's Global Marketing Stack 2025. My name is Yatin, your host, VP Sales and Marketing FTA Global. Healthcare, one of the ever-evolving industry and one of the newer topic in the town. With the rise of education among patients, consumers of medicines, healthcare providers, and pharmaceutical companies, there's a constant need of uplifting knowledge of people who are into the system, providing healthcare services. On the other side, consumers who are actually getting these services from healthcare providers. To discuss this topic in greater detail, we have with us Mr. Alhad Mahajani, President, Zuventus Healthcare, somebody who's got 30 years of experience in scaling, basically building brands, scaling brands, and uplifting marketing activities for pharmaceutical companies. Alhad, welcome to FTA's Global Marketing Stack 2025. I think a person of your era, somebody who's been in pharmaceutical marketing for 30 plus years, someone who's built businesses, scaled them to a level, and starting from launching one of the first few molecules in India to building big businesses. In fact, taking Zuventus from 400 employee company to a 4,000 employee company. How your journey has been so far?
First of all, let me thank FTA Global for having me here. It's a privilege to be here. And I think so this is a great initiative of having, the marketing stack. It's a great idea, right? Now, I have been in this industry for past 30 years. Started way back in 92, 93, I guess. And, to summarize the journey and what has changed over a period of time, initially, the industry was not so complicated, relatively simple. I still remember when we started, we used to get an ORG book of say around 3,000 pages, with all categories mentioned, and we used to happily, enjoy reading and forming our own insights and then acting according to what, we felt was right. There were no complications. Industry was not very regulated, and we had the freedom to do what we liked in terms of brand building exercise, and that is how we started. And believe me, in early 2000, the brand sizes, if we were able to achieve 10 crores in the first year, it was great achievement. But today the scale has changed, and we have had brands which are more than 1,000 crores plus. The complexities have risen, and in the last 30 years, if what has challenged me is that practically every year you need to evolve and change your basics and keep on learning. So you have to have your learning receptors on. That's the key, for any marketer. So I hope I have answered the question.
You have. See, somebody who comes with a 30 plus years of experience into marketing has seen all eras when it comes to marketing, not just for pharma in per se in detail, but otherwise also. What do you think is different between now versus the era when you joined this industry? What has evolved? What has changed, both on your brand side, which is pharmaceutical company, the manufacturer piece, and at the same time, the actual consumers? Nowadays, patients have also become very educated. They know what they're consuming. They ask questions. So what do you think has changed?
In fact, what has really changed from marketing perspective today is that earlier we had HCPs who were much knowledgeable than what we were in terms of marketing. So we had to market to HCPs who were more knowledgeable. Now there is another angle which has been added, that the HCP and the patient interaction, the patient considers himself to be equally knowledgeable as the HCP is. And as a marketer, we have a challenge of engaging with both. Because today, patient centricity or targeting patients for brand growth, for sustaining growth is an equal opportunity which has been presented. So what has really changed is the equation of pharma companies or healthcare industries treating HCPs alone as their customers. This was earlier era. Now it is that even patients have become your direct customers, we can call them. Yes. And this is what has undergone a drastic change. In fact, there are multiple decisions even HCPs have to bow down to in terms of patients dictating their choice, not only in terms of brands but even molecules. So this is what has changed drastically. The second thing which has drastically changed is automation, power of technology, data. And I think so earlier we never used to depend so much on data and automation and the technology part of it to market products. But last couple of years, post COVID especially, this has tremendously exponential rise in terms of techniques, usage of data. And this is where I think so we as marketeers have to continuously evolve. Because if you really look at, when I studied, we never studied what AI is or how to have data analytics. And if I have to lead a team, then I have to evolve myself in terms of knowing what technology is and what it offers to. So I think so this change has practically kept the entire leadership team and the available team on its foot, we can say, for getting better outcomes and realizing more success.
So I think it won't be wrong when we say that technology has changed the way pharma companies used to market their products. I mean, right from positioning a product to getting feedback from the customer, on every level, technology is involved. Now, AI is coming into all this picture. And with these digital healthcare providers coming into picture, I think this industry is going to evolve. So what are those practices or habits as a pharma company which were once very valid, relevant to you, that have now become irrelevant, or in simple words, you've started avoiding?
All right, yeah. See, first of all, letting go of your habits is a difficult task, and I think so for success, letting go in any sphere of life is one parameter for success, right? In fact, there's a lot of literature coming in, how to let go. Having said this, when it comes to marketing, I think so when we started, and what we have been practicing is marketing communication or plans, one size fits all kind of. So we used to prepare one marketing plan, which used to run throughout the year, right? And then we used to look at what succeeded and where we succeeded and where we failed.
Agreed.
This is one thing which I think so as a marketer we need to avoid now. One communication or one marketing plan fits all does not stay, and we have to avoid and let go first. Second is when we look at there were a lot of silos which were formed. We had a R&D silo, we had a marketing silo, we had a sales silos. Now this is what coming in the era of speed in today's scenario. I think so we need to break those silos. We need to avoid formation of silos, and probably what we need is a cross-functional team for having speed, better decision making, better analytics, right? And so therefore we require a lot of cross-functional kind of teamwork for success. So silos are out. There's a second thing which I think so which we need to avoid. Third is what we need to avoid is that, as I said earlier, that we were too HCP focused. I think so now we need to leave focusing the HCP alone and bring patients and other stakeholders into our plans. So these are the three things which I think so which we need to let go of to ensure success. One more thing is in terms of developing skills and abilities to analyze and find consumer insights, which was very superficial earlier. Now we need to leave that superficiality and get into the nitty-gritties of things. So I think so these are the 4-5 things which we need to let go. And
I think it's a valid thought. I think this leads me to another question. There are a lot of aggregators in the market who are somehow, I would say, bridging the gap between the consumer and the pharmaceutical companies. Of course, if you look at 1mg and other brands, right, they are not only providing, medicines at your home, along with other healthcare services like, laboratory tests and all. These brands are actually educating customers about a particular medicine. So today, if I have to talk about crocin, I can simply go on Google and check what is crocin, what are the common uses of crocin, right? And along with these search engines, these aggregators are also providing that information. So somehow my choice or somehow my selection of medicine, which comes from doctors or healthcare practitioners gets validated, right? So how do you foresee or how do you strike a balance between these challenges? Because running a pharma company is like constantly, looking at these, areas or information sections to understand what people are consuming in terms of information when it comes to my product. Because you not only work on one or two products, you've got multiple era, right? So how do you strike a balance there?
See, first of all, I think so. These aggregators and are doing a human service to patients by putting in information which is required, because they can get the information which they want to at beck and call, which is a need of the hour. Because suppose for example somebody is going to consume a paracetamol or whatever drug at maybe 12:30 in the night, there is no doctor who's available to give him or guide him as regards the drug, the side effects, etc., etc. So they are doing a great job. But there is there's a second angle to it as well. Sometimes it so happens that the patient is not in a position to understand the nitty-gritties of taking a paracetamol in a condition, what he is. Suppose, say for example, he probably may be a patient of, say, maybe a liver disorder, or maybe a patient of, say, cardiac, he may be a diabetic. And when he reads the information, he may not be able to understand and grasp what is required to be known, and he may take a drug which may actually lead to some side effects, right? Which will not be known, right? And therefore, I think so there needs to be a balance between the information which is provided, and I think so there is no substitute for a medical advice. Although patient knowledge is required, right? But the underlying conditions where that is suitable for a particular patient profile needs to be ascertained with the HCP before he actually consumes it. So there needs to be a balance from marketing perspective, right? If I need to, it would be if I give a credible information to the customer as to when to take that medicine and when not to, I think so I would be able to build up a trust not only with the HCP but with the patient consumer as well. And this is an opportunity for me as a marketer. This is what I think so is the need of the hour. So giving credible information, being trustworthy, it would be the need of the hour.
I think more than anything, you are actually fulfilling the social responsibility as well. Giving somebody a half-baked advice is always dangerous. So I think you're refraining from doing that, which is good, right? Now, you mentioned cross-functional teams, collaboration between teams, right? When it comes to healthcare, it always been a scenario wherein you've got a field force, you've got people who are constantly meeting doctors, clinics, and building up relations over there, right? How do you see that changing in the next 5-10 years with technology coming into marketing and the way overall ecosystem is changing?
Yeah. So if I understand your question, I think so. Traditional field setup.
I'm referring about traditional
versus
new
and
age marketing.
New age marketing.
Exactly, and how your field force is getting evolved in this.
See, this is a question which has been faced by us multiple times, right? As to what is the right approach going ahead, right? What I feel and believe is that in Indian setup, there's going to be no substitute for the traditional field force.
True.
Looking at the sentiments of the customers, HCPs, because they value relationship building to a great extent, right? But that does not mean that there is no place for using automation, technology, data, AI tools. Yesterday I was listening to an podcast or a presentation from Dr. Chopra, who was talking about role of AI in cardiometabolics.
Okay.
And what he said was very exciting. He said that the role of AI is not to substitute a doctor. It is to make him more effective and efficient.
Enabling.
Right. And to add value to him. Right. So similarly, when it comes to pharma, I think the role of new age marketing, technology, etc., is to make that traditional person more effective. Right. Say, for example, a traditional representative has to prepare a target doctor list when he has to go and launch a particular molecule or maybe promote certain products. But that does not to prepare that list, right? He has to do a retail audit survey, which is not very authentic in today's scenario. So if we are able to get that prescriber list, who are going to be the customers, likely customers who are going to accept the molecule, and if we are going to provide it to him, it is going to make him more effective. It is going to enhance his productivity, right? The second one is which doctors probably are going to turn around in terms of accepting the molecule earlier and leave the molecule. Now this kind of data is available provided we are able to get it from consumer insights and pass it on to the field. So these are the doctors who are going to accept the molecule but are going to leave the molecule as well. So how do you balance a target doctor list of early prescribers, early acceptors, and those who are going to accept it later, so that there is a balance in terms of returns which we get from customers. So this kind of analysis is available. Third is now if you want to make the field force more effective, AI technology data could be used to provide nudge in terms of how to plan his tour program, how to plan his schedules, so that he could be more effective, could reach more number of customers. So this is going to make him more effective. So to summarize, technology is going to help him become more effective. He would become more successful. So this is where the convincing needs to be done, that usage of technology from day one probably would help us being more productive, more performance oriented. And this is where I think a combination of both, what is called as phygital, is going to stay in Indian situation.
I could see resemblance in your thought versus our own forte as well. At FTA, we plan and try to use technology, or I would rather say AI, in multiple ways, right? For example, when we were having a casual chat before this, we're building tools, right? So we're not just a regular digital or a marketing agency or an advertising firm. We are, an extended marketing arm for a lot of businesses, right? We act as a extended marketing arm wherein we provide and deploy dedicated resources based on the specific bespoke solutions that we create for our clients, right? Now, in this entire piece, AI helps us in many ways, right? Right from understanding sentiments of customers, right? So understanding what business the customer is into, how the customer behaves, how their customer actually perceive information about their brand, right? All of that gets absorbed using AI, right? So I think your point, pretty much we are on a parallel, street where you're saying that rather than validating information that is provided by a healthcare provider through AI, it's better that we enable that healthcare provider using AI, right? The enabling could be done in multiple ways. There could be several options for that. However, the core idea is technology should be used to strengthen somebody, to make sure that they are doing better than what they were doing yesterday. So if we were to look at this entire gamut again, right? You've been in the industry for a while. If you as a founder creating a new pharma agency, or let's say a GTM strategy for a pharmaceutical company, what new would you do, or how would you envisage the entire idea, if I may ask?
See, looking at the current scenario, if I have to restart or reshape or launch a pharma company, there are a couple of things which are very important. The first would be developing a mindset of rather than being a medicine manufacturer or a device manufacturer or a marketer, I would look at a mindset of being a holistic end-to-end patient care provider. So this would alter the way I operate, and I have operated earlier. The second thing which I would do is I would look at defining my mission and vision statement with a clear purpose based on identification of the disease profile or the area which I want to operate in. Identify a problem therein. Design a clear path to generating value. And third thing which I would do is I would develop a brain trust team comprising of a business strategist, a digital native, an R&D person, and a person who can secure capital for digital first infrastructure. So these are the couple of things which I would do if I have to start all over again in 2025. Right. Now coming to use of AI automation in terms of business, to develop business or generate business, I would look at using this technology in terms of identifying the problem area, right? Because today consumer insights, if we are to analyze the data which is available, big data is available. So looking at that data, I would use technology to identify, as I said earlier, the problem statement, and then look at using AI to prepare proper customer list based on what kind of acceptance is shown for a particular therapeutic category by which type of specialty. So once I've decided the problem, then I could use AI to prepare a proper kind of strategy in terms of reach, in terms of what kind of optimization I can do in terms of spend, based on AI models which are available. So this is what I would do, which I have not done earlier.
So you're an angel investor, and I think by default that makes you a visionary also, right? So how do you see GTM or product launch getting changed in the next 10 years because of the influence of AI automation? Do you foresee any change the way marketers would think?
Yes. There's going to be a lot of change in terms of what I foresee, which is going to happen. See, there are two aspects two trends in 2025, which are going to decide the future. One, if you look at the number of HCPs which are available worldwide, I have read somewhere that there is a shortage of approximately 2 million HCPs. There is a global shortage. One huge number, right? And this includes 6 to 7 countries: India, China, US, UK, Germany, Brazil. These are the 7 countries where this figure has come up.
And they're actually one of the biggest healthcare providers also.
Right. And these are these are practically shaping the landscape today. Japan.
Medical tourism is like popular among these countries.
Yes. The second aspect is that the time of interaction of a consumer patient with the HCP, in India it is average 2 minutes, right? And internationally, the countries which I named, there is approximately a 30% reduction in the time spent by a HCP with a consumer patient today. So what is happening is that there is a lot of burden on the healthcare system, right? And there is a lot of consumer dissatisfaction. I'm talking to patient as a consumer in terms of time being spent. So these two areas are the areas of concern, and these are going to worsen. Again, quoting some data, there is, I think so, somewhere around India, 15% of the population is above 55, right? Worldwide, there's going to be next maybe the population above 60 is going to double up, right? There's going to be about 2.1 billion if my figures are right. There are approximately 40% of doctors who are near retirement age, right?
That's an alarming situation.
That's an alarming situation. So now all those doctors who have had 15, 16 years of experience, right, they're going to retire. So now, how do we tackle this? Is there an opportunity for life science companies? Yeah? So why these trends are very important is because we'll have to use AI, data, technology to solve these problems, and life science companies have an opportunity here, right? So how does it affect? Now, what is going to happen is pharma companies have been using large set data points, EMRs, social media data, right? They have been using this, and they have been gathering information which is basically related to preliminary demographics, channel preferences, etc. So most of the companies are doing this. But what is going to fundamentally change and what could bring a change, what I foresee, is that even in a particular demographic cluster, what changes is the context in terms of needs of the HCP and the patient. Now, say for example, there could be a change in terms of a doctor in terms of his ability to accept technology. He may be in the same demographic cluster, but he may not be comfortable in terms of accepting or being a tech savvy person. Is he in line to accept innovations? Now, this is something which is contextual, and I think so. The communication of a life science company in terms of engagement with that will change depend on the context. So going ahead, I think so. Context of a particular HCP or a patient is going to play a pivotal role in terms of designing or crafting communication strategies or engaging strategies. Now, I was going through a few of the surveys. See, 38% of population today is willing to share their data or whatever data related to wearables or their profiles if they are convinced that this data is going to be useful for me in terms of providing me better healthcare. Right? So this means what would happen is if you're able to build trust, which is built through a proper context and communication, we are going to get more information, which will in turn help us to design and craft better engagement strategies. And this is, I think, so what is going to change in next 10 years based on the data.
I think not just strategies, product also. For example, I could be, a little haywire on this. Apple, they said you take my Apple Watch, if you walk certain amount of steps in a year, you can claim your money back. Something of that sort. I think there was an offer, right? So I think this leads brands to get first-hand data about how people who are using their product behave throughout the day, what's their journey, what amount of exercise they do, what type of exercises they do and all. This is all first-hand data that they otherwise won't be able to get hand on. So coming on to what you said is very valid. And I think what my perception is that these new age health tech startups, they somehow get very good hold on the pulse of customers. Right? They know what consumers are consuming or what the consumers really want. And on the other side, when it comes to healthcare providers, they know what is the gap in there, right? So for legacy brands like Zuventus Healthcare, is there any learning that you constantly take or on once a blue moon kind of a thing from these new age health tech startups? Is there anything you've learned from them?
Yes. In fact, what we have been always intrigued about is, that as we grow older in terms of our age, in terms of the company, what happens is there is some amount of bureaucracy which sets in, which actually goes against the speed which is required today to win over a consumer and increase market share. So this is not only with Zuventus, but this would happen with any large. So what we actually need to learn from health tech and startups is the agility. Second, our MD always tells us, you should be ready to fail, and you should be ready to fail fast and learn fast. For the simple reason, what happens is legacy pharma companies have always depended on, let us analyze the data in depth. Let us look at evolving the strategy. Let us look at aiming towards perfection, right? And then go to the market, right? But what we need to learn is that even if we are not 100% perfect, we are 90% perfect and 10% scope for iteration, I think so we should go into the market, which is precisely what health tech companies and startups are doing. And that is why they have the ability to grow faster. And as legacy pharma, we are lagging behind. The third thing is, what we tend to learn is, as I said earlier, there's something, legacy pharma are into silos, R&D, marketing, separate departments, and then conversations between these departments is relatively slower because of the bureaucratic setup. So what we need probably to learn is the cross-functional, team building, flexibility in decision making, ability to fail, learn from the feedback. Another important area is the feedback system. We would have a quarterly meeting to look at the feedback. While health tech startup would have a dashboard which will give him the same feedback, probably AI automated in probably 2 days of time, which would help him modulate whatever needs to be done and go to the market immediately. This does not happen with us. So this is where there's a lot of learning which needs to be done in terms of working on the speed and the market entry and the style. One more thing I think so, which I forgot to mention in the earlier discussion, what would you let go of, which I think so, which is very relevant, is we are used to big bang launches in pharma.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of industry events throughout the year. And,
I think so. That is one thing which I think so we need to let go of and learn from health tech and startups. Getting into the micro things and getting results faster. This is, I think so, getting a bit micro rather than looking at macro communication is going to help us. So this, I think so, we need to learn from medtech and health.
I think this is one of the things that we look at. So once a quarter, we as the team, the core team members would gather at a location somewhere. Our base is in Bangalore as well as Mumbai and Gurgaon. So we would prefer gathering in either of these three locations or maybe some other exotic locations, and look at what we've done in the last quarter. That's how we do. Because if you look at decision making within businesses nowadays, and I think it's similar, whether it's an agency, an advertising firm, or a pharmaceutical company, it doesn't go in straight line. There are so many people. When you have so many people, bringing change into the management becomes difficult, right? From the same lens, which are those profiles or roles within an organization that you think are completely non-negotiable, you must have in your new startup, or I'm not saying startup, I'll rather say the GTM that you're planning for a pharma company. Which are those key roles that you definitely would want to have?
See, I would mix role and mindset. First of all, as I said earlier, we need to have a holistic mindset. For a today's marketeer or otherwise, what we require is a person who is able to think through not only of the product but as an entire ecosystem for him to succeed. This is one. Second, today we require a person to be a creative storyteller. And we also require him to be a creative data storyteller, because there's a lot of data which needs to be presented for convincing. So he has to be a creative kind of a data storyteller. This is what is non-negotiable. Third, as regards role, if you look at, he has to be a patient experience lead. Because this is what, we have been neglecting the patient side in terms of marketing. But today, if you have to succeed, you have to look at, a person who understands patient's experience, patient journeys, patient personas, so that you can prepare good, business strategy, right? And finally, I think so, today's person has to have an ability to cull out insights from the huge data which is available. So I think so, data mining for insight specific, this skill and this mindset has to be there.
So I think role of a brand lead and somebody who understands the industry is vital in this process. Now, we work with a lot of pharma firms, right? In fact, life sciences and companies who do surveys, for product launch, and not just limited to medicines, into tech space as well. One fear that I have seen in some pharma companies, again, it's my own personal thought and opinion, is that they fear generic medicines, right? Nowadays, you go for any particular medicine, right? You have a generic substitute available for that in the market. And the substitute is controlled by government when it comes to pricing. So it by default comes at a fractional of a cost, right? In this changing environment, how do you see a pharma company like Zuventus, or what would be that one key advice of yours to marketeers in pharma that'll help them create that long-lasting impression? They'll help them build that trust, because beyond molecule, there's nothing in a medicine sometimes, right? So what is that additional thing that you can build which will help you gain that advantage over a generic medicine which is being sold for, in most of the cases at 1/10 of a cost, right?
This question has been an intriguing question for every marketeer in last 5 to 6 years, because
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that, definitely.
I mean, uh, if you have one brand in a span of 3 months, there are 40 brands, and all at a fractional price, as you said. But I feel that there is a lot of opportunity in the life sciences or pharma industry per se to create a differential as well. Because what I feel is today it's not only about product; it is about product plus value-added services, right? Creating an ecosystem for the product to differentiate yourself from the generic brand, right? I'll give you a classical example. We have launched a molecule in an anti-diabetic segment which has a definite advantage in terms of adherence, right? Now, we launched this molecule 3 months ago, and we did the clinical trial. We did the entire, regulatory part of it. We received a DCGI approval and we launched it in India, right? Within 3 months, there are now 3 brands, right? Exclusivity is gone, and they have launched at about 30% lesser price. So now what have we tried to do? What we have tried to do is we have given a value-added service in terms of using data chatbot service to patients to enhance adherence further. We have also tried to give them, easy kind of packaging which would help them adhere better to the medicine. Right? So these are a few ways in which we are trying to differentiate from the generics which are going to come in. So we have already done that through technology, through chatbot services, etc. So patients get more information whenever required. Right? These are the 2 things which we have done. But apart from that, there are multiple other techniques. You could launch multiple variants of the same drug, maybe once a day, maybe different dosage forms, right? You could look at keep on increasing the patient funnel by getting into diagnostics for that particular molecule, right? So there are multiple options available for us to differentiate as well. What is required probably is more in-depth study and how the technology today is suitable, to be applied to a particular kind of a molecule. That we'll have to look at, especially in the chronic diseases, because sometimes it may so happen that for oncology the requirement will be different, for diabetes, anti-diabetic, the requirement may be different to differentiate. So few places there could be patient access programs, some places it could be direct patient education, which would help us increase the patient funnel so that you keep on increasing your patient numbers. So this is, I think, so there are opportunities available.
True. I think this piece of advice from you is no less than a gold mine. So I think all the viewers who are here watching, Alhad, I think if you happen to have any questions on this follow-up strategy, I think please feel free to drop in on the chat box. Our team and Alhad would definitely like to address these questions. And from the standpoint of marketer, I think the advice stands very still and agile. It's relevant today and is going to be relevant 5 years and 10 years down the lane as well, right? So, Alhad, we are towards the end of the session here. I think looking at you, somebody who's coming into pharma in the early age when technology was not there, traditional ways of marketing used to be on prime, right? What you've done so far with Alchem Laboratories, or if you talk about Zuventus for that matter of fact, it's tremendous, right? And I think for somebody to achieve this, one key is discipline in life, right? Is there anything else beyond this that you would want us, even for me on my personal note, to adapt in my life, which will help me become better version of myself in the upcoming years?
Thank you for the question. Whatever little I could contribute, I think so. One thing which, apart from discipline, is I think so the ability to keep on learning. Being a lifelong learner has been my credo. So at whatever interaction, suppose if I'm interacting with you today, I'm trying to learn from you as to how one should conduct a podcast and how one should be comfortable, interacting with a person who is unknown. So I think so every interaction can teach us, and if you're able to and willing to learn, I think so sky is the limit, and that would help us all in terms of not only bettering what we have been doing, but taking us towards exploitation of our existing potential. So lifelong learning, I think so, is one of the keys.
You're into book reading?
A lot.
You do? Yeah. Any good book that you're reading nowadays?
I have just finished with the CEO Mindset by Shiva Kumar, and it happens to be a fantastic read for developing a mindset of a CEO at whatever level you are. There's one book I think so I've just finished, and another book is The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. There's one.
The Almanac
of Naval Ravikant.
Okay.
I think so. That was a fantastic read. It has influenced me a lot, and I think that I should be able to get more of him through his blogs and writers. So I've been really impressed, and these are the two books which I've just finished about in the last 2 weeks or so.
See, I think books that we read, they reflect, a percentage of our mindset, right? That's my opinion. Therefore, I feel like asking these questions to people that I met. I'll definitely add, links to these books, maybe purchase links also if possible onto the chat, just to make sure that if anyone wants to consume what Alhad is consuming these days in terms of knowledge, would probably do that, right? So one last question, Alhad, I hope I'm not going off the base, but who are you when it comes to spare time beyond work? What are those things that you like doing in your spare time?
2 or 3 things. One, I'm an avid pet lover, so I have pets at home. I'm a reader, so I keep on reading. And nowadays, I tend to and love to spend time with myself. This is one thing which I'm trying to develop, so that I'm at peace and comfort with myself. This is the 3 things which I'm trying to do now.
I think the last piece is most important. I was reading it the other day, and I think it's my own perception also. When you don't give time to yourself, that one quotient of yours which gives empathy to others, you lose it, right? I've seen a trait in people who always constantly try and pleasing others, and in that rut they somehow forget themselves. They somehow forget keeping their priorities on the priority side, right? One of the personality trait that I've seen with these people is that they get angry most of the time. They don't look at people the way they used to. So that empathy quotient get missed. But I think the way you answered it, it's beautifully summarizing the entire pack. I think if there are some learnings from Alhad on the lifestyle angle, right? I think one is reading, constantly learning more things, talking to people, understanding their perspective, and above all, giving priority to yourself, making sure that you are your best, or you're your favorite among everyone else. Of course, family takes precedence here. That goes without saying, right? So, guys, that was Mr. Alhad Mahajani from Zuventus Healthcare, President Marketing. He shared his valuable insights on the entire topic. For such content and more valuable insights from other CMOs, please keep tuning in to FTA's Global Marketing Stack 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, FTA Global, for giving me an opportunity to be here. Thank you, the entire team.